A young, sharp-eyed man wearing old, ragged clothes tramped out of the Melcaster station. He was Wyatt Campbell. Melcaster has changed a lot in the past 5 years. Wyatt marveled, looking at the city where there were many tall buildings. His family was a well-known business giant in Melcaster 5 years ago. However, they lost everything in just a few days because of being tricked. Wyatt used to live a luxurious life and had no ambition. People secretly called him a loser from a rich family. When the Campbell family collapsed, the useless rich man in others' eyes woke up. Wyatt wanted to change, but he found he was a loser who couldn't. He changed anything even though he wanted to. Having suffered the humiliation, Wyatt was powerless. In desperation, he left Melcaster with hatred 5 years ago and went to Sleepy Cliff in Dragon Mountain, wanting to commit suicide. As it so happened, he was saved by Derek Kane, who became Wyatt as teacher later. Derek said Wyatt possessed the supreme spine and was a genius for cultivation. Under Derek's guidance, Wyatt rekindled his hope for life and pulled himself together. He had cultivated in the Taoist temple for 5 years and never left. Wyatt had rebuilt himself in the past 5 years. Until a few days ago, Derek said the time was right for Wyatt to come down from the mountain. Since I have come back, things will change in Melcaster. I will take everything I lost 5 years ago back. I will get rid of everyone who caused the destruction of the Campbell family. Wyatt's eyes flashed with terrifying light. Even though Wyatt was stable now, he couldn't. He helped but lose control of his emotions at the thought of everything that happened 5 years ago. A Panamera was parked at the station entrance. Leaning in front of the car was a young woman with a delicate face and fair skin. She wore a fashionable skirt, not to mention Melcaster. She was a gorgeous woman in big cities. The beautiful woman and the fancy car naturally attracted much attention. As the woman saw Wyatt coming out, she immediately walked up. "You must be Wyatt," the woman said, sizing up Wyatt. "As close." "Yes, and you are." Wyatt looked at the beautiful woman. "I am Violet Cole. My grandfather asked me to pick you up." Violet shook her shoulders. "Violet Cole." Wyatt was shocked when he heard the name. Before going down the mountain, Derek did say that someone would pick him up when he arrived in Melcaster. But Wyatt never expected that it would be Violet. Wyatt had lived in Melcaster for many years. Of course, he knew Violet. She was a famous beauty in Melcaster. And her grandfather, Aaron Cole, was a big shot. Aaron had retired long ago and lived in Melcaster. He usually had no contact with the political and business world in Melcaster. As the Campbell family was at its peak, it was very influential in Melcaster. At that time, Wyatt's father wanted to visit Aaron, but he was always turned away and was not even qualified to meet Aaron. Therefore, Wyatt was surprised that Aaron would send his granddaughter to pick him up at the station. Wyatt couldn't. He helped but secretly thought, Derek actually knows such a powerful person. He always thought Derek was just a cultivator who lived in seclusion and had little contact with the outside world. "Where are you going?" Violet asked with slight arrogance. Wyatt came back to his senses and said, "Melcaster Hotel." Before Wyatt returned, he had received news that Austin White, the instigator of the collapse of the Campbell family, would hold a wedding in the Melcaster Hotel today. "All right, get in the car. Why did Grandpa ask me to pick up a mountain bike?" Violet muttered, turned around, and walked to the car. Wyatt was startled, realizing that Violet was forced to pick him up. In front of Melcaster Hotel, many luxury cars were parked in the parking lot. Today was Austin's wedding. Ever since Austin annexed the Campbell family, he had been thriving in the business world in Melcaster. So, countless people flattered him and wanted to have contact with him. The second floor of the hotel was filled with guests. Austin has been astonishingly rising in the past 5 years. He is the leader of the younger generation in the Melcaster business world. If he annexed the Campbell family, how could Austin have risen so quickly? I feel sad for the Campbell family. They were tricked by the person they trusted most. Even the future wife of their son was stolen. Several bosses who were close friends were whispering at the wedding reception, "SHH, stop saying that. If Austin hears you, he won. He let you go." A bald boss gestured repeatedly. Austin was now prospering in Melcaster. No one wanted to offend him. On the platform, the groom, Austin, wore glasses and a suit and looked elegant. The bride, Ruby Boyle, was pretty. "Ms. Ruby Boyle, will you take Austin White to be your husband?" The officiant said in an infectious tone. The scene fell silent. Everyone stared at them to witness this moment. A shameless couple. You are perfect for each other. At this critical moment, a discordant voice suddenly came from outside the hall. Who is so bold and dares to yell at such a critical moment? Does he want to be kicked out of Melcaster? Everyone at the wedding reception looked back with surprise and confusion. They saw a young man wearing old, ragged clothes slowly walking into the hall. ISM. He the Campbell family. As young master. Wyatt. How come he shows up? The entire hall burst into uproar and exclamations when everyone recognized Wyatt. Why did this loser appear? Austin. As face fell. Darling. Dawn. He worried. Everyone knows Wyatt is a loser. Even though he comes, he will be humiliating himself. Ruby smiled disdainfully. Wyatt strode to the platform and looked at Austin and Ruby. When Wyatt saw the two again, the anger he had suppressed for 5 years suddenly burst out, and his eyes turned faintly red. The groom, Austin, was Wyatt. As father, as adopted son and Wyatt, as foster brother, he was deeply trusted and cultivated by Wyatt. As father, 5 years ago, it was Austin who, relying on the trust of Wyatt, as father, set a trap to swallow up the Campbell family. The bride, Ruby, was Wyatt, as girlfriend back then. However, she was with Austin when Wyatt was in trouble, seeing the person responsible for the collapse of the Campbell family. Wyatt, as hatred and anger boiled over. Ruby, I never thought that you would marry Austin. I remember clearly that you said you would never marry anyone but me. Wyatt sneered. Ruby sneered disdainfully. Wyatt, do you really think that I was with you wholeheartedly because I loved you? You have no ambitions. And you, we're nothing compared to Austin. You, we're not even as good as him in bed. Ruby said Wyatt was sexually inadequate in public, which was undoubtedly a great humiliation for him. Austin cleared his throat and said loudly, Wyatt, when the Campbell family collapsed 5 years ago, you begged me to return everything to your family. No. Are you going to beg me again? Upon hearing Austin's words, everyone in the audience whispered to each other. They were all curious about what Campbell was doing here. Thinking Wyatt was humiliating himself, Ruby remarked caustically, Sweetie, look at his shabby clothes. I guess he was kicked out of the rest of the world and became a beggar. So he came to beg you. It makes sense. He is a loser and knows nothing. What could he do for a living without his father? Austin also said sarcastically, that's how it is. Wyatt, we are brothers. I am happy today. So as long you beg me, I can give you tens of thousands of dollars so that you can survive. What do you say? Wyatt slowly raised his head and stared at him. Sorry, Austin, you are wrong. I came back to take back everything that belonged to the Campbell family and revitalize my family. What did he say? Wyatt wants to revive the Campbell family. As funny. As soon as Wyatt finished speaking, the audience burst into laughter. In their minds, Wyatt was just a useless rich man who only squandered money and had no skills. Everyone knew that. So they thought it was a joke that Wyatt said he would rebuild his family. Austin laughed and said, that's interesting. Wyatt, listen to their laughing. Darn. Do you know what you are made of? Wyatt, for old times' sake, I advise you to get out so that you can save some dignity for yourself. Ruby sneered and said. Wyatt said nothing. He walked towards the stage with everyone watching. Soon, Wyatt walked up to Austin and Ruby. Austin could clearly feel the anger bursting out of Wyatt. As body, what surprised him the most was that Wyatt seemed to have a completely different aura now. Wyatt just stood before him, but Austin sensed an invisible sense of oppression, feeling like he was pressed down a big mountain. It astonished Austin, but he still said calmly, Wyatt, what do you want? I let you lie 5 years ago for the sake of our relationship. Today is my wedding. If you dare to mess up, I will definitely destroy you. Austin, I told you 5 years ago that I must take my revenge. Wyatt said coldly. Austin smiled disdainfully. Wyatt, you really want to mess around? Right. Okay then. Let's see what you have for revenge and to fight me. Security, Austin shouted. The hotel manager, Josh, ran in with many security guards. Josh, what the hell are you doing? How could you let him in to make trouble? Get him, break his legs and throw him out. Austin scolded Josh sternly. I am sorry, Mr. White. It was an oversight. I am on it. Josh wiped the sweat from his forehead. He was aware that Austin was a shareholder of the hotel. He knew he would be in trouble if Austin blamed anyone. What are you doing? Get him. Josh waved his hand, gesturing for the security guards behind him to take action. More than a dozen security guards immediately rushed toward Wyatt on the stage. M.S. Cole is here. Just when the security guards and Wyatt were about to take action, a loud voice suddenly came from outside the door.